think back 10 years ago, where were you? What were you doing? What were you aspiring to do? And are you any nearer to it today? If I look back 10 years ago, I was attending a weekly job hunters group to find work in Egypt. I was living in North Carolina, and my wife and son had been in Egypt for about 5 years, waiting for me to find work there and to reunite with them. I was in North Carolina. Pickings were slim. I had no idea how I was going to find work there. Every avenue I went down seemed to be shut. So what I'd like to share with you is, if you have had some sort of dream that you were looking for 10 years ago, if you have one you're looking for today, I want to share with you what I've learned in my toil through the School of Hard Knocks and how to scout your future from imagination to creation. So 10 years ago, I'm at a job hunters group. The format is the first hour we'll have some speaker come in from outside to talk of one of 10 topics on how to find a job. This is the second time I've heard this one. The Mobius Company. If you can imagine the perfect day and the job of your dreams, imagine it in exquisite detail, I guarantee you, 90% of my clients find out that they've achieved it within 6 months. This is the second time I've heard her do this speech, and I still have no way to imagine that perfect job in Egypt. In the network break, before we all get around to kind of share with each other and talk about how we can, what we can contribute to the job that you want to find, invariably no one's got anything for me because no one's got connections in Egypt. Someone comes up to me and goes, "So, Samir, what do you imagine? What does your perfect day look like in your perfect job?" Now, this is the second time I've heard this speech. I struggle with this constantly. I have no idea. Oh, come on, Samir, you can think of something. Surely you can imagine something new. I had been bringing expat Egyptians to this job hunters group to help them find work in their field. Accountants, pharmacists, professionals who were working as taxi drivers and deli staff, not working in their fields. I brought them to this group to try and find a way to do it. And what I was filled with is they didn't seem to want to take the step forward, to step away from the wall of security and actually become what they wanted to do in the new land of America today. And I had this in the back of my mind when my friend pushed me. What would you imagine your perfect job in Egypt? Oh, well, I guess I'd set up a training center and I'd trick people because I'd have a professional training center where people would come in for what the skills that they think are valuable, and I'd sneak in leadership training and teach them to be independent thinkers so they could think out of the box. We'd serve NGOs. We would serve multinational companies. We would serve the education industry. And slowly, the whole country of Egypt would be transformed because when we taught them these leadership skills, they would be able to make a difference and make a change in the places where they live. And the whole country would be transformed. My friend looked at me and said, "That sounds pretty good. Why don't you do that?" I was like, wow, I just imagined it. I had a vision. And I went home and I put it in my LinkedIn profile and I completely forgot about it. That's what I did. But you know what? I connected with what was in my heart. And that's really the first step. What are you passionate about? So what was it you were striving for 10 years ago? Or what you're striving for today? What pains you in your heart that you see? What pained me was seeing the Egyptians who were not being everything that they could be, who could not take advantage of the resources that were available to them to do more than be a taxi driver or a deli worker. So I tapped into that, and it stirred in the back of my head. And every day I take a step closer. Find out what's in your heart. Sometimes that thing in your heart, that thing that pains you, the thing that you complain about, that will inspire you for the next steps. It'll remind you of what your why is. Simon Sinek talks about in his TED Talk, start with the why. That's the name of the book he wrote on it. When you start with why, you have the core that defines and drives everything else you need to do. And I found my why in that question. I want to have an impact. I want to have an impact on the people in Egypt to help them see that they can make a difference and transform the country from third world to be a lighthouse, like the lighthouse of Alexandria in days gone past. So once you've got your why, you've stepped on the first stepping stone that gives you the direction. You've got a target you can aim towards. But what have you got to work with? What's in your hand? Well, there are a couple things in your hand. You've got time. Every one of us has 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week, and umpteen days. We've all got time. You got treasure. You got money. You got resources you can work with towards it. And time and treasure are easy to measure. So I'm not going to cover those. Maybe you need to look at your talents and see how you can apply those. What's in your hand? Are you a magician? Do you know how to work with cards? Can you do magic tricks? No, that's not in my hand. But what's in your hand? I took this up. As I said, when you know your why, you'll see what pains you and it will remind you. And a few years ago, my best friend passed away. He was in Egypt. He had given me the confidence to follow my dreams. He was an inspiration. When he passed away, he reminded me of the times we dreamed that we would transform Egypt. He filled me with confidence when I was a high school kid that felt there's nothing I can do to make a difference. And when I saw everyone all over the world in a Facebook group that his sister had put together saying that he had impacted them too, it wasn't just me. He awakened in me that line that was still in my LinkedIn profile. I want to have an impact on the people in Egypt. And I began saying, what have I done? At that point, it was then 14 years that I've been working on this. 7 plus 7. So I went back and I looked through. I divided my life into 7-year segments. And I found out what's in my hand. What were the things that I did great? What were the things that I did well? What were the things people said, Samir, we love it when you do that? And I found the gifts and the skills that I had in my hand. That's when I needed to step out. And a year ago, I realized I haven't taken any steps. I've seen what my skills are. I know what my talents are. I know my talents, my treasure, my time. I need to be in action now. I need to face my fears. I need to, in Arabic, step away from the wall of security. The next stepping stone, facing your fears. A barrier can come down like a rock in front of you, and you've got to be like water, flowing around it. Face those fears. Do not let them conquer you. Be prepared and ready for them. When you do these 3 things, find your why, Understand what's in your heart. Second, what's in your hand? What resources do you have to do it? You equip yourself to take action and be forward. Then you will find that you're moving from imagination to creation, and you will be making it real. Madam Toastmaster.